Hello everyone, and welcome to Michael's Richard Game Reviews, and this week I'm reviewing Virtua Racing for the Mega Drive. This is a really interesting game. For one, the Mega Drive couldn't actually do 3D, it had no 3D hardware inside it. So they had to include a special chip in the cartridge called the SVP, the Sega Virtual Processor. Now this chip is really interesting. It's very similar to the one they use in the 32X. Except the 32X has a high colour palette, but other than that there isn't much difference. And that's the main reason why the 32X was developed in the first place, because including this hardware into every cartridge would cost a fortune. So their thinking was, why not include the hardware into an add-on and then just sell cartridges that were compatible with it, which in some ways made more sense, but never really took off. And the SV chip is very interesting. I mean, I've seen the 3DFX games on the SNES, and they're interesting, but this is amazing. I mean, it's got a pretty high polygon count, it's got a smooth frame rate, and it works. I mean, no offense to Star Fox is nice, but the frame rate is jerky, and it's a gimmick. It's nice, it's interesting, and it's interesting they were able to do Star Fox on the SNES when the SNES didn't have any 3D capabilities. But as far as I'm concerned, the SVP chip did a much better job. Now, a bit of history about the game. Virtua Racing is a very important game in the history of gaming, not just gaming, but for 3D gaming and racing gaming. It was probably the second fully 3D racing game, the first one being Hard Driving by Atari. This one came out, I think it was a couple of years later, and it came out in '92. And it was originally designed to be a prototype for the Model 1 arcade board, and Sega was so impressed they fully developed it into a game. The reason why this game is so important is it was part of that transitional period from 2D to 3D. Not just that, but this game took racing to the next level. It was 3D. The Mega Drive version came out in '94, and then later that year the 32X version came out, and then in '95 there was the Sega Saturn version. Now in 2005 there was a version made for the PS2. Now the only two versions I've played are the Mega Drive version, which I am really impressed. Graphics are not as good as the arcade version, but the raw gameplay is here. And if you want the experience of playing this, it is here. And there's also a Sega Saturn version. Now the Sega Saturn version, I would say graphically, is almost identical to the arcade version, but the handling is a little bit off. Especially when you crash your car, it doesn't respond like it should do in the arcade version or even this version. And part of the reason is the game was ported over by Time Warner, and it would have been better if Sega took the time to do the conversion themselves. But other than its minor flaws, it is a pretty good version though. The music. It's very weird to describe the music because there isn't really music. All there is racing sounds, and whenever you complete a lap, or you complete, like you go to a checkpoint, you get a small piece of music that lasts about 5 seconds. And they are really cool little tunes actually. The graphics. Once again, the Mega Drive was never designed to do graphics, and these are impressive. They impressed me back in the day. Even now they impress me. To see the Mega Drive doing basic 3D done well is amazing. So, my final thoughts. This is just a brilliant game, and a unique game, because it was the only, and I mean the only Mega Drive game to feature the SVP Sega Virtual Processor. So for that alone, it's worth owning, and it's not actually that expensive. I got mine for about, I think, £5. So if you see one going cheap, and you have an interest in gaming history, or racing games, or just a Sega fan or a Mega Drive Genesis collector, I would definitely go for it. It definitely gets the thumb approval. I want to thank you for watching. Until next time, see you later.